within a certain range. And just like you drive around in your car and look for the, the best gas price, y'all are, the pilots are going to do that. It just varies from month to month. When I first got here, I put it really low, and everybody, oh yeah, look at gas prices, yay! And then the next month is, like it's ebbs and flows. It's not going to be the same every month, but just know that I've been trained by the best, and I know how to keep that around that level where it's competitive to the airports around us. So we're doing our best, and I thank you so much for that input. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, I haven't been over to Liberty in a while, but I know when I would shop around for fuel, the prices that Liberty had on the websites were never correct. I actually had to call them to get their actual true price. It was, I don't know what he just never updated them. Yeah, hopefully he is now though.
I'll call and check. I thought that the prices were updated on there, so I didn't know.
Yeah, I always had to call.
Yeah.
And it varies by load, right?
Right. Yeah, it depends. It depends on how much we pay for it, so. Great discussion on fuel. Thank you all.
Before we move on, anybody else have a comment?
One more question, comment on the fuel. On the very popular site, airnav.com. Did we ever get listed on that?
No, I did find the contact person, left a few messages, haven't been able to get in touch with him. His name is Eric Smith. He was given to us by our weather guy, the AWOS representative who came out. I kind of, just picked his brain and see if he can point us in the right direction. So hopefully, I get a call back from him, and I'll try to follow up with an email. But I do have the correct person.
Okay.
So that's in the works of getting us on AirNav. And actually, I think I might have made a new AirNav profile because I have changed it on there, but I don't think mine is the active.
Yeah, I believe the last time I looked at it, it still had Dickie's contact information on it, but
Yeah, I've got the username.
I think you can do this just on the site.
You can.
You can.
I've got the
Yeah.
username and password. I'll give her mine before I leave for today,
Okay.
and then she can go in there and and update the password to hers.
I use what you gave me, but
Okay.
still you have to AirNav pulls the information from the FAA. So if you go on there and change it, it's not going to reflect.
Okay.
Nothing's going to happen. You have to go through them, directly through them. So that was the
Okay.
holdup. Yep.
That makes
But
sense.
that would I think it generates some more business for the fuel.
Oh,
Because
yes,
people go on and they'll search
okay,
fuel prices within 45 miles of Cleveland, and we're not even there.
yeah.
Because it shows that we don't have fuel, and which is, certainly not good for the city. So, it lists all the other airports, Liberty at 398, and, the other various airports in our area, but Cleveland's not there. So, and this is a popular, popular site.
That's cool.
We'll
We
get
still
that-
sell
we'll
4,000 to
get that.
5,000 a month. That's really good. We're not even listed now.
Yeah.
All right,
Good
great.
point.
Anybody else have anything else? Okay, let's move on. Consider possible actions on the following. Number 6, approve minutes from May 15th, 2025, airport board meeting. Anybody would like to make a comment?
When I saw they looked good.
Making a motion, we approve the meeting minutes from May 15th.
Okay, motion by Julius Buckley, second by Dickey. Anybody else comment? Okay, everybody raise your hand that's for or against. Okay, motion passed. Discussion and appointment of airport chairman. I'd like to make a comment on that.
I think,
Does somebody else have?
no,
Somebody?
I was just
Is
pointing, I
this
think,
for nominations? I don't know.
Yes.
how this works.
Correct.
for nominations.
I'd like to nominate somebody.
Sure, go
Go
right
ahead.
ahead.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Hugh McFarland, if you would like to do it.
Yeah,
That's just
Awesome.
my 2 cents.
I second that.
I'm gonna write that down before I forget it. Hugh,
Will you second that, Diggy?
I'll nominate Greg Model.
Oh, we're gonna fight now.
Oh, I second that one.
I second that one.
Yeah, I second Greg. Third.
I'd like to nominate.
Yeah.
I'd
okay.
like to
Yeah, you're right.
nominate Dickey.
Yeah, you
I
go.
Yeah, it's got to
realize
go to a
that.
vote first.
Yeah.
We have, so, all right, let's vote on the first motion. Hugh, you wanna accept that if you're voted in? Okay.
Yes, I will.
Anybody want to vote for or against?
Well, I second it, so I gotta vote.
Second? One vote,
Voting for?
Two
Yeah,
votes.
vote them for Hugh.
For you.
four votes.
You can vote for yourself.
Hugh, looks like you're going to be the chairman.
All right.
You can vote for yourself.
I'll vote for myself.
Good deal.
Yeah, the chairman votes on this board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll make it unanimous then.
Everybody?
Yeah, that was unanimous.
Unanimous.
Yeah, Hugh's
Yes.
the chairman.
I'd like to give this chair up
Thank
now. Hugh, would you
Oh,
like-
no, that's fine.
No, or you're now voted the chairman, so you're supposed to come.
In
take the
the
seat.
event that I cannot attend
Yes.
a meeting, what happens in that? Because sometimes I'll have a work-related.
Right.
Board chairman pro tem?
Yeah,
Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor pro
Yeah.
tem?
Mr. Julius Buckley at that point would take over.
Okay.
Right, Julius? I guess so. Oh, yes. Fantastic. We've got that solved. Any other problem before we move on? Okay. Update on hangar L, I'm
We
sorry.
Go ahead and swap out. But yeah,
You want to go ahead and take
yeah.
over?
It's voted in
Yeah.
to change spot and everything.
I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
I mean, you can take your stuff, he has his own,
Yeah, he should.
yeah, he has his own document.
Want to make sure I got everything here.
And your phone. And your kick pad.
I'm going to leave that. I don't think he'll need it.
everyone's here to help.
All right, continuing on, update on the Hangar L RFP.
So for Hangar L, just as we stated at the last meeting, we took it to council and they approved, and we were able to get it put out for another 2 weeks. So it's currently live, and I believe it comes back on
23rd
the 23rd of the month.
will be a Monday.
That will be a Monday.
And the folks that were here last time speaking on that behalf, did they have some questions, or were there some concerns with what they were,
No, they
was
were
there any
gonna-
dialogue
no,
going
no.
back
I
and
mean,
forth?
we can give
I
a
mean, they
quick
were gonna
summary of
resubmit,
it real
right? They were
quick.
gonna resubmit.
They're gonna so Hangar L, when we got it, didn't have enough information for us to score it, correct? I mean, there wasn't enough to actually give it a score. It was pretty much a 0. So we only had one, so we put it out for a third time, and we're hoping to get more. Or we also, the person that did submit for it was here, so they're able to actually give more information on that, because they did it last minute, they said. So it's put back out, so hopefully we get some more, proposals for it, to have more options to pick from that proposal we got. I mean, Aaron can speak more if you have any more questions on that, but that's pretty much the gist of what we discussed on it.
Thank you.
I guess my only question is the plan still to have the EDC pay for this and build it, put it all together, and then when the airport uses the IAJ funds for 24 or 25 and 26 to pay back the EDC until we can get it rented out?
That's what we're doing on it.
Okay,
So they can, if we do get a good proposal,
they do that, and then we use the IAJ funds still there, okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, the discussion on the agricultural land, and
So this was something that we brought up last meeting as well, and I wanted to bring it up again so that everyone gets a chance to hear about it. So the agricultural land directly across the street, across 787, we were unable to capture that contract from the gentleman who currently uses that space, Mr. Dean. So working with him, couldn't get it. We can't find it ourselves. I believe they've been searching for it since before I got here, so no one can find that contract. So just to be fair, there is interest, and we want to put another RFP out for that land as well. It's just used for grazing right now, so just wanted any input on that before we take it to council at the next council meeting.
is that land owned by the airport or the city?
It is owned by the airport.
Is it?
It is airport property, which is the city technically, but it is part of the acreage for the airport itself. You cannot build anything there because of the runway protection. So the best thing for it is cattle agriculture for grazing cattle. It's only 25 acres that can never be touched. The cows do all the upkeep for the city. They keep the grass mowed over there. But what we do have to do from what I understand from the city, we do have to go out with a RFP, request for proposals. People can submit. And I think it's only, $400 a year for agricultural land? It's not, you're not going to make, millions of dollars on this. It's very small, but it's upkeep that the city doesn't have to maintain.
Okay.
And so it's actually a very good idea.
But we want to be fair and consistent, and if a contract cannot be produced, it needs to go out for RFP to give, everyone a fair chance.
Yeah.
And there is interest from a number of individuals, so we just want to do things the right way. And also find the new fair market value for that land. Okay?
Okay, thank you. All right, item 10, discussion on landing fees.
Yeah, so this was just one of my observations here. This isn't landing fees for everyone. Since I came on board with the city of Cleveland, I've observed several jets to come to the airport weekly. I'd say 2 to 3 times per week. It seems doing business. So with doctors on board, medical staff, nurses, like they come, pretty often. And I was approached twice with a card in hand. Where do I pay my fee? How can I take care of my fee? And, I don't know anything about collecting a fee for that. So just in doing research, airports do collect landing fees for individuals that are, conducting business at the airport. So they usually stay for about 2 hours or so. They use our facilities, sometimes take a nap or use the courtesy vehicle and come back, and then they pick up more people. So more people come, they drive in, they park, and they get on these jets and go somewhere else. So I've seen that, in the last 3 months, and just the fact that they came up to us, card in hand, looking for, a place to swipe, that just, got me thinking and doing some research. And yeah, they use our facilities. Those jets are, they're pretty heavy for our runway. They're pounding it weekly. And, we have to maintain it, do the maintenance, and do everything. So I was proposing fees for those individuals. And, yeah, just give me some feedback on that, because that is a possible subject to go to council.
What is the correct way to do it without singling? Because that's kind of like singling out if it's a jet. Is there a way, I know you have everything already pulled up, but is there a way to do it the correct way and have it?
Yeah.
Where it's not everybody getting hit with it and it's okay, or?
Well, yeah, businesses.
No, I know, but I'm just saying.
We'll see. Yeah.
So FAA order 5196B, everybody's familiar with that, right? That's the
Right.
airport compliance manual. That is the manual that we have to refer to for anything that we want to do on a federally funded airport. Chapter 18 is a whole chapter dedicated to that. My recommendation is, we're legal to do it, and yes, we can single it out. It's not because if you got a hangar there, we're not charging you. It's people that are coming in. The rates have to be fair and reasonable is the only key words that the FAA uses, fair and reasonable. My recommendation, same thing as Julia said, is I would contact the Texas Airports Council. They are 1,000 airports here in Texas members, more than that. Ask them, hey, who is charging rates? How are you charging them? How are you collecting them? I know we have 1200 Aero, which we can add to that, which will actually send out invoices by tel number, as long as the directory is updated with the FAA. The only thing also that I see bad about charging rates is it will drive fuel cells away because people won't want to come in.
These individuals don't fuel up either.
Correct.
There's no fee.
And that's something that you can put in there is, hey, if you buy fuel, you don't pay a fee. If you're just coming here and parking, you're going to pay a fee. That's just what I'm.
Can I add something to this? This is the kind of work that I do, the kind of flying that I do is corporate flying. And we go to airports all the time. And what they normally have in this kind of, what you're describing, they'll have a minimum fuel purchase to waive fees. And that'll encourage people to, we'll go and we'll put on hundreds of gallons of Jet A to avoid paying a fee, because we might as well put that money into the aircraft in the form of fuel opposed to just spending it on that. So And there's airports that we go to that charge no fees. I mean, similar to our airport. Usually airports that charge fees are towered airports, you know, a little bit bigger infrastructure and such. Generally, airports like Cleveland, they don't have those fees for that corporate type aircraft. But what Dickie is saying, I would suggest, you know, you can, you know, kind of pursue that a little bit, but be very, very careful when we start charging fees for anything, that it kind of has the ability to just, the creep is there. And so we need to be very careful with that. We don't want to
You
turn
won't fuel
Cleveland
cells. You won't fuel
Can,
cells.
yeah, can create a disincentive to come.
disincentive. In fact, I
But if
was,
we can charge people coming in doing touch and goes from other airports local, that would be great.
yeah, well, that's
Wouldn't
another
it?
discussion.
Or to keep them away.
Right. But as far as, you know, a minimum fuel purchase to waive fees is why those people are coming there, and they're just willing to pay a fee. They're used to that. It's, you know, how much, what's our minimum fuel? I mean, that's one of our first questions that we ask line service when we taxi into an FBO is, what's your minimum for this aircraft? And they call up, they're like, oh, it's 150 gallons. All right, we'll take 75 aside. And then it's done. Well, other than, I can't remember one time when we made a trip and we decided to pay the fee versus the fuel. One thing that we have working against us is the fact that the fuel is not delivered by truck. And that makes it difficult for larger aircraft to fuel Jet A without a truck. And so that's going to be something that kind of complicates that.
It is. And the more that our fuel cells go up, eventually, you know, you're, with the truck idea, you know, that's still a year and a half, 2 years down the road. Once we grow the hangars, you know, like that, and then a little bit more revenue, a truck will pay for itself. But
I'm
right now, it's
you know,
just not there.
Servicing those types of aircraft
So the
is
big-
difficult to do it at a self-serve.
And I think they brought that up too, because I did ask, they were asking me to charge them and take a fee. We said, you know, no, thank you. We just asked that you fuel up with us. And they said, well, we can't do it unless you have full service.
We get,
So
I think,
we're not
what's the
unable.
biggest one that comes in there? That Lear, is it that 45, I think it is? Or
I
the-
saw,
I
it
saw
was
like-
King 200. King
Well, no, the
Air?
King Airs can all get fuel there. I've had King Airs come in to get fuel, but we also have a Lear 45 that, it's not a Lear 60. A Lear 60, I
Lear
think, was too
45.
big. But the Lear 45 was able to taxi up there, and we were to fuel him from a single point at the top. And, you know, they're taking 800 gallons of Jet A at a pop. But same thing, just like you were saying, Hugh, he come in and he's like, well, what's my fee, you know, credit card. I'm like, no, dude, trust me, you did me a favor by buying 700 gallons, you know.
Yeah.
You want a free soda, you know?
Yeah, that's
We want them to
huge.
do something.
Right.
Something, so.
And some
Yeah.
operators won't allow their pilots to fuel.
Correct.
They want full
Yes.
service for, you know, reasons that beyond this discussion.
And that's in the future, too.
Right. So I'm just saying, when you go down this road, there's going to be items that come up that we may not know at this point.
So what would be an appropriate minimum to ask for fuel?
Oh, what are you talking about, like for a fee? Oh, no, I wouldn't put
Amount of
anything out.
gallons, or how much would be an
Oh,
appropriate amount?
to like
for them
sell
To
fuel?
waive the fuel.
So right now, yeah, it would waive the fuel, but I wouldn't put anything out there right now like that until I would really speak to the Texas Airport Council and call TxDOT just to make sure that it is legal. I've already read everything there is on it. It is legal, as long as it's fair and reasonable, but
So by the, and I don't know if by legality you mean, well, here's my question, let me get straight to the point, are there any impacts to the grant assurances with the grant money we've received? That's covered in that order, so if it's legal by the order, we're clean with the grant
so
assurances?
fair and reasonable fits
Okay.
underneath the grant insurance.
Okay,
And those are, in each one, so this manual or this order, I know the FAA deals in orders. The 39 grant assurances are built into this, and they're actually sublisted to it in the appendix as well.
Okay.
It's 700 pages, I'm sorry, I've only read like 100 of it. It's boring, you know, but it's good, and it's really easy. You can go to the, the font and just click and go to wherever you want to go. And then it has things in here too, where it says, grant assurance this, I can click on it just to see what it says and then bounce back to that paragraph to understand what they're talking about.
And one other,
But-
I'm sorry, were you done?
Oh, I am.
One other comment on that, Aaron, a lot of times it's based on the weight of the aircraft. And so,
It specifically says that.
right. So, I mean, this may not apply to, say, under 12.5, aircraft, but generally, it's, the amount of fee is tied to a weight of, or a size of an aircraft. And it's generally, and that, I'm sure it varies by airport. And generally, airports that have fees, some places will try to avoid them. So I say tread lightly on that topic, just because it's,
It can be based on how congested the airport is, the weight of an aircraft, the amount of people that come through the terminal, not to include tenants. This is everything that's coming in from outside.
Right,
Tenants are paying rent, you get access to everything. And there's a couple other things that it lists in there, I don't have them memorized, but I do know that part.
I have a comment, if I may, on landing fees. I would respectfully caution the city to first define the mission of Cleveland Airport. Like, where does the city want Cleveland Airport to go? That is feasible to grow, if that's what you're looking for. Because general aviation airports are very different from each other. You have different categories. Obviously, IAH and Hobby are completely different than Hooks and Conroe or Sugar Land, and they are completely different than airport missions like Cleveland, Liberty, Huntsville, and several others in this area. So where do you want Cleveland to go? Because that's how I think you're going to base your decisions. Based on where I see Cleveland is now, landing fees of any kind is not a good idea. However, you are mentioning something that I didn't know about, the jet traffic. That is something to look at. Again, I refer to seeking revenue, because this is what I'm hearing, right? It's how to seek revenue, and also from usage of the runway and wear and tear. So the airports like ours at this time generate the largest revenue typically off of hangar fees, fuel sales. That's where it's at. And then concurrent to that is what businesses you are able to bring to your airport, such as, in order to increase revenue, you want to have aircraft repair stations, which we have a fairly large one and well-known one. Lone Star, right?
Lone Star is private property, it's not on the airport property,
It's not-
so
okay.
therefore it's not considered airport.
Okay, but it's accessible to the airport, I guess I wanted to get
It's an
to.
attraction to the airport.
But
There you-
airplanes come to the airport for repairs from sometimes far away for repair. But the point I'm trying to make is repair stations. And then if you, flight training, flight schools, source of revenue, and also maybe aircraft charters. It's a way, if businesses, you do a request for proposal, someone who wants to do aircraft charters from this airport. So this is where money comes from airports from our side. It's what I've seen in the last 35 years through the U.S. Landing fees, it's a big, for lack of a better term, and forgive me in words, is turnoff to any aircraft owner in general aviation. We will seek elsewhere whenever we see the word landing fees. Some of us won't even look at their, what caveats are associated with landing fees. The minute you see landing fees, you're looking for a fuel stop elsewhere within 30, 40, 50 nautical miles. It's just the way it is. So where does the city want to take Cleveland? Because I strongly urge against any kind of landing fee. Having said that, I'm not aware about the jets and all that traffic, which would be a consideration. But my advice is to steer clear from landing fees. And now, if I may add this, it's not on the thing, but hangar leases, I will keep those hangar leases low. And I wouldn't change it as well.
I hate to interrupt, but if it's not
Yes.
on the agenda, we're not supposed to discuss it.
Oh, we're not supposed to?
Yeah, we got to stick.
I
to
just
the
got your
discussion
back.
items. Yeah.
Oh, that would be for like another minute?
Correct.
Thank you, sir. So anyway, I'll scratch that.
On
So
the-
we want to keep fees low, is my point. We want to keep them low because that's what brings, first of all, that's what's going to bring people from other airports, aircraft owners, from other airports to come to Cleveland, because that's what they're trying to get away from, higher fees of any kind. So that's the point I wanted to make.
And I agree with you. One of the bad things about Cleveland Airport is we only have 200 acres of land. And there is no more room to build on. I think even Mr. Bartlett said it here that day, the back 40 acres is 10 feet lower than the front. you know, the amount of money it would cost, and hopefully Hangar L will do exactly what you're saying. It'll bring more schools in. If we can get it built, get it established, you know, get one of the schools from Conroe to come over, you know, that's a big money maker, you know. But as small as our airport is, like you said, we're GA, we're not a regional. We are gonna grow to be a regional though. We're one jet being stationed at our airport away from being a regional airport. And then that gives us a lot of money in funding each year. But once that hangar's built, we can even get, you know, a couple of jets. But the prices and the rates, from what I was told, at our current airport right now, and this is why a lot of the airports around Texas are gonna start going up, is because companies like Millionaire, Signature, you know, they're looking at, you know, airports. I mean, we're close enough to IAH. We're perfect location, just like Sugar Land is to the south. You know, we are to the north. But they can't generate enough profit because, how do you say, you know, the money's not there, you know, at our airport yet. But hopefully, you know,
And that's
5
where the
years,
city
10
comes
years.
in. It's like, where do you want Cleveland to be, or what do you, Cleveland Airport, what do you want it to be or become, or do you want to keep it the way it is?
Yeah, matter of fact, Julie said we got an AOP out in work right now, so TxDOT and the FAA is going to tell us our best direction. Matter of fact, it should be wrapped up by the end of this year. The AOP with narrative is like the 5, 10, 15, 20-year plan, the map of the airport. So that's already in motion. I think a company was already selected to do it, so they should be doing that. And part of that AOP, they'll be doing the flyover, which will complete the RNAV process for 3-4.
Okay. I don't know if we can talk about that or not, he's not here either. But that was another point.
Also
Anything else
on
on the
the
landing
landing
fee?
Yes,
fees,
landing fee.
the,
But you're right.
Yes, sir.
you can set a weight from the plane from what he just read. So you can go up to a plane from a certain weight up would have to land. So you could hit just the jet, so you wouldn't have to hit, you know, the schools right now or something, just so they're still coming in. So that'll help. Either they're gonna land there and pay the fee, or they're not gonna land there. And if that's the big old jet beating up our runway,
It is.
that all
They
y'all
do.
fly on
They
that.
do.
So if that's the route we can go, like, just check with everyone, and like he said, it looks like you can, and then I think that'll be the better route to go on that part of it
And
for the landing fee.
the objective isn't fees, right? I'm not trying to, you know, impose fees. I just want to make sure the city is getting what they're due. These aircrafts do pound the runway. They come in, they use our facilities, that's fine. But on the regular, they're conducting business on our airports. So, I mean, a few 100 gallons of fuel, that's not too much to ask. Like you said, he does it all the time. They would rather pay fuel than pay a fee.
Yep.
So we would like that fuel.
Yeah. Well, it depends on the King Air, but, I mean, there's a way to find that out, like but that's, I mean, that's the direction, I mean, I exercise extreme caution when we approach landing fees, just for the reasons that have been discussed. But there are, I would like to see an alternative, you know, if you buy fuel, you know, waive the fee and make the fee, if it is, only apply to the, you know, the largest of the largest GA aircraft and a very reasonable, but just to go, once you start down the landing fee road, I think we kind of open ourselves up to, you know, creep.
Okay, we'll call it something else. Don't say landing fee.
Just one
That's
last
why-
thing.
We'll find
Yeah,
it.
to build on something you already commented on about the fuel truck. If you're looking at fueling jets, over the wing is not really the way they do it. That's when you would really have to think about the truck, because you have to use the fuel single point, which is that's what they look for. Otherwise, it'd take forever for them to do it, to do the large amount of fuel quantities that they require.
And that's what we need to get the military firefighting contract brought
Yeah.
to us as well.
So I just wanted to bring that up. You all already talked about it, but that's definitely a consideration for that. I just hate to reiterate, landing fees for the general aviation, which is what almost all your tenants are,
Right.
all of us.
Yes.
Anything related to that, it's not good. It's not good, because it opens up a rabbit hole. So this year, and we all know how this works, this year is aircraft above 20,000 pounds, 12.5, whatever. And that is when, 4 years from now, 5 years from now, it just spreads like a cancer, right? And that's what we've seen nationally in all small airports, which we believe arguably has contributed to the closure of many of our airports, general aviation airports. So the bigger picture for this is we want to care for the mission that airports like Cleveland have. We don't want to lose that. And if we get, and it's easy with money, if we get looking at, oh, big money, we can make big money. Historically, in this country, when it comes to small airports, we lose them. We lose them every year. And it started just like this, talking about landing fees. So I just wanted to bring that up. We don't want to lose that, because that is why we are tenants of Cleveland, because we all got away from other airports
Right.
in this region, because Cleveland is a jewel of it.
It is.
It
Go to
is, it
Cleveland.
is.
I got to drive further away. I have to drive an extra 30 minutes, but I will do it because of the whole mission and culture of Cleveland Airport, right? And when I
It's
talk
more of
to
a
people at
family
Hooks-
airport than it is a corporate airport, and it's,
Yeah.
and we all like that. I mean, I came from
And-
Conroe
Yeah.
20-some years ago.
And
to
there's a
Cleveland,
place for it. I think
you know.
we can, and that's where you guys are all smart about it, how to put that together.
Yeah.
I think there's a place, but let's not lose, and this is my respectful caution, let's not lose the heart of Cleveland, why all of us come to Cleveland,
Right. Thank you.
You,
Anything else on landing fees?
I'm sorry. I think if we're going to have a deeper discussion of landing fees, we probably ought to reopen that topic in the future to do that. And the reason is there's a lot of tentacles. Al's just talked about a bunch of them. A lot of people have. But another one that I remember Dickie mentioned several months ago, but I think it's going to be a huge red flag that we're going to have to tread carefully with, and that's using tail numbers and ADS-B data to then post-bill people after they come in for landing fees. I realize that's not on the table yet, but it's very easily if you're getting into the landing fee conversation, you're seriously considering putting in an infrastructure to do that, it's very easy to say, let's use the ADS-B data and track aircraft who landed there to charge those. Well, then that opens up a whole can of worms about the purpose of ADS-B, the buy-in that a lot of the alphabet groups had in going there. It kind of runs counter to the purpose of ADS-B, even though that data is available. So I'm just saying there's a much deeper conversation to be had in the future if we decide to get deeper into the landing fee topic, that we should probably reopen it and give ourselves the opportunity to have that deeper conversation about all those tentacles. So,
Yeah, I believe that's already going to Congress right now.
Yeah.
Because that ADS-B was not to be used for that.
Yes.
And these third-party companies are trying to
market that, yeah.
market that to airports like ourselves, and it's a,
They're already doing it.
oh, I know,
Yeah.
I know they are, and there's,
The
if you
airport's
go,
already using it,
That's why
not
it's in
us, not
Congress.
us.
Yeah, that's why it went to Congress.
yeah, we don't, I don't think we want to make that list of airports, and it's already a black eye on GA out there, so, all right.
One last comment, following that up. We don't need to reinvent the wheel, and by that I mean, large national organizations like that you're all familiar with, Aircraft Owner and Pilots Association, OPA, or Experimental Aircraft Association, the EAA, and others at the national level that have very strong lobby in Congress. They have extensive studies on how to help airports, or cities that have an airport, just like us in Cleveland, and how to make it better, maintaining a balance. I would suggest tapping those resources as an advisory board, for you all that are decision makers, to have information and data that you can use to make Cleveland Airport successful, which bottom line is what we all here want to do. Maintain it, a jewel of state Texas,
And we're on the right path. I mean, exactly. I firmly believe what you're saying. And we're on the right path. I mean, TxDOT and FAA is already doing
Yeah.
that for us right now as we speak.
They do it in the regulatory level and money level as far as grants and secure loans. But organizations like those do it in the pilot side, and also looking at how to work together symbiotically with cities that are interested in revenue, which is important.
Yeah,
very important.
they're building our 20-year.
But they learn how to find that balance. I think we should my suggestion is tapping into that data for you to have. And I'm just throwing it out there. I'll probably look into it, if you want me to, a little bit too, see what I
That'd
can
be great.
find. They have hotlines based just for that, for cities with airports like us.
And that is welcomed. I welcome that. You got, is an open door. Any research that you can do, any numbers you can bring me. Greg has come to my office with RNAV notes that he's written down and
Yes.
couldn't make a lot of them out with his chicken scratch. But he handwritten, notes and things to help me, so that's welcome. And don't worry about, us getting distracted, by money. We do know what Cleveland is. We recognize the rich history here. It is a jewel. The airport is a jewel. We want to preserve that, but things aren't always going to be the way they were. We're going to
Yeah.
preserve it, but we're going to also push it into the future.
Yeah.
But not money-wise, but, growth for the next generation of aviation lovers, so.
And I appreciate the motivation. It's one of the things I like about coming here, because I'm not really one to do boards or, definitely not politics. But but we have an interest, and I see the motivation of everybody to get it better. And I really appreciate that, as that motivates me, Plus, I have a personal stake in Cleveland because I'm a tenant. And I forgot my point, but it'll come back. The RNAV, I know it's not on the board,
Yeah.
on the
We talked
agenda,
about it last time.
but whenever we discuss it, I don't know if we can
We
talk
discussed
about it.
it last time.
Oh, we did last time?
I would suggest that we have on the next meeting,
Yeah.
more thorough conversation about the RNAV approaches.
And if I may include, suggest when we talk about the RNAV, we also include the subject of approach lighting with the RNAV. In this case, non-precision approach lighting. I have some suggestions on that. I think I spoke to Dickie and others way back.
Yeah, it was just a pretty expensive.
They
Cost,
were?
yeah.
I don't know how grants work for TxDOT and federal level, but there's ways around that, I believe. And that's something jet traffic looks
Okay.
into.
And-
Jet
Oh, yeah,
pilots want
well, I
that.
mean, that'll dictate minimums and such on the
Yeah.
approach.
Yeah,
how
it's a
low,
discussion
so.
that I would like to propose.
Okay, well, I think next meeting, the RNAV 3416 approaches should be on the agenda
Oh, yes, sir.
hearing.
And Hugh, you're the chairman, you can get with
Yes,
Aaron, I know, I didn't forget it, I just, so speaking here. I didn't forget her name. But you could, just, anything that anybody comes to you, just tell her, put it on the agenda.
okay, perfect.
We'll discuss
I'll
it.
do that. I look forward to working with Aaron and everyone on the board. Thank you.
All right. I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Not so loud.
I know, he's right.
Motivate.